Fight fans, fight fans, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news for you. Well, kind of new. Errol the Truth Spence has stated that Keith Thurman does not want to fight him. So no, that's not new. Who did not know that? But I mean, it's new news. I mean, it's like one of the latest things and the latest statements that Errol Spence has said. Look, quit chasing a guy that doesn't want to fight. Simple. Focus on the people that do want to fight. You got Khan. Focus on that. Focus on the winner of the other belt between Porter and Garcia. More than likely, it'll be Garcia if it comes to a decision. You know what I mean? It is still a tough fight. But, fight Bud. You know what I mean? I think that fight, honestly, should be kind of built up more. So I think they should both do magnificent things in the welterweight division. And people say, well, Bud Crawford just got there. That's true. He did just get there. So he hasn't done a lot when it's elite. I mean, the question is, would you say Jeff Horn is an elite fighter? You know what I mean? I don't really think so. I think he was a pretty good fighter. I think he's kind of an awkward fighter that made him, which made him interesting. But, guys like Garcia, Porter, those are the top guys, and really Errol Spence, since he was there and he's been knocking out guys, I think he's like 24 and 18 or something like that. Either way, I think that Spence has not been tested the way he's supposed to anyway, due to the fact people's been avoiding him. Yes, but that doesn't change the fact that he hasn't fought the top guys. Doesn't matter if they're avoiding you or not. It's just the fact that you haven't been in the ring with them. So I think they both should do something. But Errol Spence, him calling out Keith Thurman, I don't know why these guys put certain targets on certain people's back. Put targets on everyone's back. Target everyone. That's the whole point of the matter. And I mean, you got these guys. You got Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia said he'll fight him, and I would like to see that fight. I would like to see him in there with a decent puncher, okay? Because I haven't seen, as of yet, probably the most skilled guy that Errol Spence has been in there with was Kell Brook. Kell Brook beat Porter, but I don't believe in triangle theories. What is a triangle theory? That means if one guy wins against the other guy, okay, does not mean if the guy that won fights someone else and that guy gets beat, doesn't mean that guy that the first guy beat will beat the guy that beat the other person, if that makes sense. So I don't believe in that. Everyone has to fight everyone because the styles of each opponent makes equations and different scenarios play out in a fight. Okay, that's how boxing works. That's when people say styles make fights. That's exactly what they mean. And that's the interesting, intriguing part of the whole thing. Okay. I would love to see Garcia in there with Spence. So if I'm Spence, I would keep Keith Thurman's name out of my mouth. Sure, that WBA belt sounds good, and it sounds good to be calling out guys, but call out guys that are reasonable, that's active right now. That dude ain't fought in like a year and 3 months. That's 15 months of activity, almost 16 months of inactivity. So I don't see the relevance of it. And then really, I don't know what his deal is with the WBA if he does not fight that guy that they have to put in front of him. Because obviously, eventually they're going to put somebody in front of Keith Thurman. He has to fight, but it won't be anyone that is a top tier due to his injury, because the guy has an injury or whatnot. So yeah, stop talking about Keith Thurman, dude. Focus on your career as a whole. Keith Thurman is. If everyone acts like beating Keith Thurman will define their career, no, it won't work like that. That's just like Mayweather saying, hey, beating Manny Pacquiao defines my career. It doesn't. You know what I mean? It didn't. It made him the most money, but it didn't define his career, what type of fighter he was. For some fighters that are low tier, if they beat a top guy, yeah, that's the highlight of their life, but not a top tier fighter. If Spence considers himself a top-tier fighter, he should get out of the mentality of calling out one fighter. Focus on, the Porter and Garcia fight. You always hear him talk about Keith Thurman. Dude, forget Keith Thurman. Talk about Porter or the winner between Porter and Garcia. Talk about it. Eventually fight with Bud. And that's been he's mentioned that, so I can't say he hasn't. But I just think that it's a waste of energy for him to keep trying to call out Keith Thurman, which Keith Thurman already went on record saying that fight ain't gonna be nowhere soon. You know what I mean? And that means, hey, he's ducking and he's avoiding that fight. Cool. I do think it's weird that, that Keith Thurman was so hungry at once upon a time, and then he got what he wanted. He unified the belt. He got the WBC from Danny Garcia, and he already had the WBA. Okay, so it's not he just showed what his ceiling is. You know what I mean? That's all that is about Keith Thurman, if you want to talk about Keith Thurman. And I don't want to talk bad or ill will about Keith Thurman, because I'm really proud of his accomplishments. He's very vocal. He was very vocal about what he wanted, and he done that. He took Danny Garcia's O. He beat Sean Porter. He's had some good names under his resume. It's just he's inactive. He's nearly not anywhere past his prime. So, but again, he hasn't beat guys like Spence, and Spence is an up and coming guy, and Crawford's there now. So it's some new kids on the block that is always ready to take your place. So I don't think the new kid on the block, being one of them, being Errol Spence, should be too concerned about Keith Thurman. He should focus on elsewhere. And then if he really wants to get creative, he can always go to 154. You know what I mean? Fight Munguia and Jermell Charlo, and you know what I mean? And that fight that Carol Brook said that he wanted, and that was a rematch between. That was a pretty good, interesting fight, because then, Carol Brook says, oh, his excuse, I wasn't 147, yada, yada, yada. But that's what Errol Spence should do. I think a lot of fighters get themselves in trouble when they do focus on the wrong thing. And then what happens is they end up losing because their focus is off. Okay? They're looking past the opponent. And it doesn't matter, it's slick things to say for PR stunts, and promoters love to, kind of coach fighters on what to say. So they all prone and prompt to say the same thing. They're prompted to say, oh, yeah, I'm not looking at anything. I'm focused on the person in front of me. No, you really ain't focused on the person in front of you. And that's what happens with people. Ask Costa Zoo about that. Ask Mike Tyson about that. Ask a lot of fighters that were undefeated, fighters that was upset by a guy, Miguel Cotto, Austin Trout, So it can happen to anybody, even some of the best fighters, especially when their focus is not off. But anyway, that's me. I'm just chatting around, with that, giving you my opinion about it. You guys tell me what you think about it. Oh, Khan, I did a video about that already. Khan, has spoke words of fighting Spence. So Spence has options, so fighting Keith Thurman again, don't worry about it. That's not new news. But anyway, this is Counterpunch Boxing News, and you guys been counterpunched. Please subscribe.